Kadosh Boker Or Masechet Sotah Daf Mem Amud Aleph 48:1 says the Gemara. We're talking about now Betfilat Ne'ilah Diyomeh de Kippureh in the Birkat Kohanim of Ne'ilah of Yom Kippur. My Amar, what are you going to say? So Amar Mor Zutra says, it says Ve'amri la b'matnita, and some people say it's in our matnit, in our Braita. They come and they say, Inech chen yovorach gaver yireh Adonai v'recha Adonai Sion u'reh b'tuv Yisrael v'mechayecha u'reh Shalom al Israel. Fine. Says the Gemara, Hechal Omran. Where do you say these psukim exactly? Rav Yosef Amar ben kol bracha u'bracha, between each one of the psukim of Birkat Kohanim. Rav Sheshat Amar, Rav Sheshat says, V'askarat Hashem, when you're mentioning the name of Hashem inside of the Birkat Kohanim. Remember that you mentioned the Shem Hashem 3 times. So that's when you're going to mention it. Pligi bar Rav Mari v'Rav Zvid. So there's a machlok between Rav Mari and Rav Zvid. Chad Amar, one of them comes and he says, Psuka la kovel psuka. We're talking about one pasuk, keneged another pasuk. V'chad Amar, and one of them says, Akol psuka malehu lechulhu. On every single pasuk of Birkat Kohanim, right, they're going to say it. So Amar B'chia Barabba says, B'chia Barabba, Kol ha'omran, right, anybody that's going to come and say this, right, these psukim during the time of Birkat Kohanim, Bagvulin and Toeh, he's only going to be making a mistake, because they only did this on the Birkat Kohanim in the Beit HaMikdash, because since they're mentioning the Shema Meforash during the Birkat Kohanim, so you're going to say this. But if not, you're not going to mention this. So this is going to be a stira, because we learned yesterday, contradiction, because we learned yesterday towards the end of the daf, that when the Kohanim were making the bracha to the people, what do we say? And then we had different psukim, Baruch Hu Hashem Malachav, and all these different things. Now, very interesting that here in the footnote, he actually brings down the contradiction, because he says, this is all the thing that during Birkat Kohanim, you should be saying, whether it's psukim or you should be saying something. Even though, later on, we're going to say that when you're doing Birkat Kohanim, you shouldn't say anything. Meaning, you shouldn't be saying anything. Right? So again, there was a Moroccan minhag that we used to say psukim, but it was only during when the Chazan was saying it, not when the Kohanim are saying it. I mean, when the Kohanim are actually saying it, right, we're supposed to actually keep quiet and listen to the Kohen. But that's what we're going to see now. So he says, Amar Chenina bar Papa, Teida de Mimitash Nami lo Tobei Mimlinu. He says, this is what we just said. This Shita is saying, what? The Sfara is that you don't say any psukim during Birkat Kohanim. Why? I don't understand. You're a servant. They're blessing you. You're not going to pay attention to the blessing? Well, what does it make sense that the Kohanim are giving you a beracha and you're not paying attention because you're saying something else? So obviously you keep your mouth quiet. Third shita, Amar Rabbi Yacha bar Chanina, Teidad v'gulin namil, even in the outside of the diaspora, you should also say it. These psukim. What? Somebody's blessing you and you're not going to actually tell him todah? You're not going to say thank you and bless him back or say things back? So therefore, we have 3 different shitot of what he's supposed to do. The first shita was only the Bet HaMikdash you say psukim. Outside of the Bet HaMikdash, no. Second shita was even in the Bet HaMikdash you never say psukim. Third shita was that even outside of the Bet HaMikdash you say psukim. So Amar Rabbi Yavu says Rabbi Yavu, at the beginning I used to say different psukim during Birkat Kohanim. Given the chazina le Rabbi Abba the Minako do Lomaru, but once I saw Rabbi Abba ben Aframako that he didn't say anything, I also didn't say it. Meaning he saw this big rabbi that he didn't say it, so he also didn't say anything. Amar Rabbi Yavu says Rabbi Yavu, at the beginning I used to say that I'm an anav. Meaning I used to think about myself that I'm very humble. Given the chazina le, once I saw Rabbi Abba the Minako, that he used to give a drashan, Rabbi Damar yu chatama, right? That he used to explain it one way to the Meturgeman. V'amar amure chatama, and from the Turgamo, right, he used to give it over in another way. Velo kapid, and he wasn't makpid. Amina, he said, Lavan, I'm not an anav. Why? I didn't get, meaning, imagine right now, I'm giving over a shiur, right? But right now, in the olden days, it used to be that the rabbi would give over the shiur, and there was a Meturgeman. The Meturgeman was somebody that was very eloquent. He knew how to speak very nicely. So he used to come and he used to give it to everybody else. So imagine right now, I come and I explain it to him in one way, and all of a sudden he comes and explains it to the kahal in a different way. So now, technically speaking, if I wasn't such an anav, I would go crazy at the guy. I'll tell him, I don't understand you. I'm telling you something. What are you changing when I'm telling you now? You understand? He wasn't makpid. He wasn't makpid. He says, that's true anava. I thought that I was an anav beforehand. I see what real anava is. That the guy, the Meturgan, the translator could come and change it. nothing.
Yeah,
kilu, huh?
Isn't that a problem?
It's a problem, but it just shows how humble he was. That kilu, he wasn't makpid that the guy was going to come to. Obviously, he wasn't changing it something very bad. It could be that he was changing it, like to a different explanation. But the fact that, one second, your job is just to, to give over what you just received, not for you to invent or say whatever that you want. You understand? But that just shows how much of an anav he was. Huh?
He wasn't wrong.
So umayin vatsnute. So what is the anava of Rabbi Avu? The amra ladvitu the amore to Rabbi Avu ladvitu the Rabbi Avu. That once happened that the wife of the meturgiman of Rabbi Avu told the wife of Rabbi Avu, Hadi dan lo tzarich leledidach. Really, man, my husband doesn't even need your husband because he's a chacham just like your husband. Yeah. So he says, "V'hayde gachin v'zakif aleh," and that which he's going to be gochen v'zakif labalech. Meaning the fact that he's actually just like listening to him, yikara be'alma hu David. He's only just because, right? He's doing kavod to him. Ve'azla devitu. So the wife went ve'amra le, and she told the Rabbi Avu, Amar la, right? What do you care? Through me and through him, there's itkadesh shem shamayim, which means, what do you care then? What do you care? Basically. So imagine right now, the wife comes and she's like upset because the wife of Rabbi Avu is saying, "Look at this guy. This guy comes and he tells his wife, and the wife comes and tells me, kilu, like he doesn't even need my husband. That kilu, my husband is nothing. He's just doing it out of kavod. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So he says." He went and he said, "What do you care? At the end of the day, it's just for, the kavod." Okay. Vetu, and furthermore, Rabbi Avu imenu rabbanan aleh lemimnia bereisha. Rabbi Avu, the chachamim came and they wanted to say, put Rabbi Avu as a rosh shiva. Kevin the chazal Rabbi Abba de Minako, once they saw Rabbi Abba de Minako, dinefishele, right, bale chovot, that he had a lot of chovot to pay off. Amar leu Rabbi Avu said to chachamim, Ika Rabba, there's a gadol mimeni, which should be that. Who is it? Rabbi Abba, right? Which means, right, the Chachamim wanted to put Rabbi Avu as the Rosh Yeshiva. But once Rabbi Avu saw that Rabbi Abba bin Akko, that he had so many, things to pay back, Rabbi Avu said, no, go, get Rabbi Abba. What are you coming to get me? Why? Right? Rabbi Abba min Akko. So here it says the kavanot of Rabbi Avu is that Rabbi Abba should get all the matanot that they're going to get when he's a Rosh Yeshiva. Because in the olden days, again, there's the olden days, not nowadays, right? They used to give, whether it's a shivot or all the rabbis, they used to give them a lot of kavod and a lot of money and presents and things like that. So he purposely knew that since basically Rabbi Avu was very rich, he didn't need all these things. So therefore he went and he says, you know what? I prefer that Rabbi Abba would get it from Akko in order that he should get all the presents and pay back all the money that he owes. I'm rich. I don't need it. Give it to him. So he's able to pay everybody back. Yeah? Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Chia bar Abba iklau lahu atra. So Rabbi Abba avau and Rabbi Chia bar Abba, they went and they got to one place. Rabbi Avau darash bagata, so he was doresh in agada. Rabbi Chia bar Abba darash b'shmata, and he was doresh in halacha. Shavka kulam Rabbi Chia bar Abba v'zeh legabe Rabbi. So I won't want Rabbi Avu because basically they went to listen to, right. That's what he's saying. That means basically everybody went to the agada instead of halacha. That's always like that, by the way, right? Whenever you have a shiur, who do people love going to listen to? The magids, the storytellers. They don't like, like the halacha, the deep, the this. They don't like all those things. Yeah? So he says, Chalash Shateh. So he was upset. Amarle, Rabbi Avu went and he told him, don't worry about him. I'm going to give you a mashal. Remember, he's a storyteller, so he can give you another mashal, another parable. He comes in, two people, one of them is selling avonim tovot, and one of them is selling minesid kot, right? Things which have like different things. Who are you going to jump upon? You're going to jump upon why? Because basically, if you're a jeweler, nobody's going to go to a jeweler to buy things. Jewelry is too expensive. Where are they going to come and buy? These things which have very little value. So same thing, when they're coming to listen to my shiur, it means that it has very little value. So don't worry about it. They're going to come to me because I'm selling them things of very little value. For you, you got the things which have a lot of value. So that's how he was like trying to calm him down, that don't worry about it. Kilu, at the end of the day, that's what he says. So he was giving him a remez that the fact that more people come to his dirasha is because that kilu, it's much easier to acquire. And therefore, even Na'amaretz, anybody, they like stories. They don't like halacha and this and that. It's too deep. You know what I'm saying?
They want to relate something.
Yeah, they want a story and goodbye. That's what they want. Okay. כל יום הווה מלווה רבי חייא בר אבא לרבי אבוה דאושפיזה. So every single day, Rabbi Chia bar Abba used to come and accompany Rabbi Avu until we used to sleep. Mishum Yekarad ve'Kesar, because of the kavod of the Beta Kesar. Right? What does that mean, the Beta Kesar? Okay, we're going to see it says over here that Rabbi Avu used to come and visit the Kesar, like the Caesar. He used to, like, he was like the very high up in the government. So he says here, Ha'u yom alve Rabbi Avu Rabbi Chia bar Abba ushpizeh. So the one day he went, right? He brought him to his ushpizeh, right? And then what happened? Right? Va'afilu achi lo yitutav datem mineh, and he still wasn't mityashev dato of Rabbi Chia bar Abba, which means he still wasn't meaning Rabbi Chia bar Abba. He didn't want to. Why? Because he didn't want that the zechut of the Lemet Torah Rabim was proper, right? That he wasn't able to be Masechet Rabim. He was like so he felt very, like he felt very, very, it was like, how could it be that I'm not coming and I'm not teaching them to speak the Rabim and I'm not giving them over? So bizman sheshliach tzibur omer modim ha'am ma'im omrim. Next, when the shliach tzibur says modim, what does everybody say? So he says, Amar Rav, modim anachu lach, right? Hashem Elokeinu asher anachu modim lach. Ushmuel amar Elohei b'chol basar asher anachu modim lach. Rabbi Simai omer yotzrenu yotzer b'shit asher anachu modim lach. Nardai amrehem yishmed Rabbi Simai bracho v'dol l'shmar gdol asher katam mikamtanu al asher anachu modim lach. Fifth shita, Rabbi Yacha ber Yaakov asay mahachi ken tachinu chonem tavchem utkabetzenu. ותעשו גדולתנו חזוק קודשך לשמור, קרא לעשות רצונך ולבב שלם ושנה מודים לך. So Rav Papa says here, so we say everything. You see, that's why we basically put a mission, everything together, because one person says 1, 2, 3, put all together, we have modim de Rabbanan. That's what we do. Okay? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says Rabbi Yitzchak, לעולם תהיה אימת הציבור עליך, you should always have the fear of the ציבור on you. שהרי הכהנים פניהם כלפי העם, אחוריהם כלפי השכינה. Because the Kohanim, when they're giving the blessings, they're facing us, and their backs are towards the Shekhinah, right? Which means that it's something incredible. So it means that you're supposed to have, kavod in the tzibur, morah and kavod in the tzibur. Rav Nachman says from here, he got up on his feet and he says, my brothers. He says, if they're my brothers, why am I calling them a nation? Which is they're above me. And if they're why am I my brothers? So David comes and he tells Bnei Yisrael, if you guys listen to me, to be shlemim ba'avodat Hashem achai, you guys are my brothers. And if not, then you guys are still above. Because then I'm going to hit you in order to get you guys to come and to do, right? So meaning as long as the kolam were the ksharim, then David HaMelech still came and they gave them kavod, right? He didn't want, meaning that, why am I going to hit you if you're doing it, properly? If you're doing it properly, you do it properly. I don't have to start making myself that I'm greater than you. If you guys don't do that, then I have to make myself greater than you. But if not, lechatchila, you're my brothers. So all you guys are tzaddikim. If you guys are not going to be tzaddikim, then I'm going to have to take the whip and show, listen, who's boss? Yeah, you see, who's rocking. What do you think? Yeah, Rabbanan come and they say from here, right? Another mekor. He says the en kohanim shel na'alo b'sandalin leduchan. They're not allowed to go up with sandalin. They have to do without shoes. These are one of the 9 takanot that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai came and he instituted. He says over here, okay, it's a bright and it actually says where the takanot Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai actually came, right? And he said, so you actually had different takanot. So here it says, my tama, what's the reasoning? Is it not because of kvod tzibur? So you see from here, one second, right? You see from here, it's kvod tzibur. If it's kvod tzibur, that means they had to, if they're going to go up with the shoes, that's not kvod tzibur. So they go without shoes. So he comes to Rashi, he says, no, what's going to happen is that it could be that maybe it got cut off one of his shoelaces. He's going to get down to come and start tying it, and because of that, they're going to bless the thing, and he's not going to do bika kohanim. The amri, and then they're going to say he's a ben gusham and chalutza. That's why he didn't do bika kohanim. That's the reason why they don't go up with shoes. Okay, so therefore, because of that, that's why they don't go up with the shoes. Not because of kavod tzibur. We thought it was kavod tzibur. It's not because of kavod tzibur. B'mikdash. When we're talking about in the Bet HaMikdash, we're talking about the Kohanim used to say the 3 psukim, like with one bracha, right? And they wouldn't make a hefsek between them. Mem mul bet. Why be'emet would they do it with one bracha? Right? Why? Meaning outside of the Bet HaMikdash, right? That means nowadays we do 3 psukim. Bracha Hashem yishmerecha, 1. Yad Hashem yishmerecha, 2, 3. In the Bet HaMikdash it was 1. Yivarecha Hashem yishmerecha, Yad Hashem yishmerecha, everything 1. Why 1? You never answer amen in the Bet HaMikdash. Okay? How do you know you don't answer amen in the Mikdash? שנאמר, קומו ברכו את השם אלוקיכם מן העולם עד עולם. ומנין ברכו שכבודך. What does that mean? The חלק הראשון is that when you're going to make a bracha in the Mikdash, which is קומו ברכו את השם אלוקיכם, right? You first say in the end, ברוך אתה השם אלוקי ישראל מן העולם עד עולם. The חלק השני, which is ברכו שכבודך, means that instead of saying amen, you say ברוך שכבודך ולבד. Was Baruch Shem Kodecha, Baruch Shem Kodecha, which is Baruch Shem Kodecha. Meaning, when you come and you're going to say a bracha in the Bet HaMikdash, you don't answer amen. You say Baruch Shem Kodecha. Minayin sheko bracha bracha tila. How do you know in every single bracha you do that? Shnema Baruch Shem Kodecha, Al kol bracha tila. Al kol bracha bracha teno tila. So in every single bracha in the Bet HaMikdash, there's no amen. Baruch Shem Kodecha. Baruch Shem Kodecha. Baruch Shem Kodecha. That's what you're supposed to do. Mishnah Mem Amud Bet 40b. To be or not to be? Says the 40. Mem Amud Bet birchot Kohen Gadol keitzad. How are the birchot of the Kohen Gadol? Chazan HaKnesset notel sefer Torah v'notna lo lerosh HaKnesset. It says over here like this: the Chazan HaKnesset, which is the shamash of the Bet HaKnesset in Har HaBayit, he's going to take the sefer Torah and he's going to give it over to the Rosh HaKnesset. The Rosh HaKnesset notna lezgan. The Rosh HaKnesset is going to give it over to the Zgan. The Zgan notna leKohen Gadol. The Zgan is going to give it over to the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol omed umkabel v'koreh acharei mot. Then the Kohen Gadol is going to get up and he's going to give it over to the Zgan, right? He's going to give it. That's what he's doing. So one more time. The Chazan HaKnesset is a shamash. The shamash Bet HaKnesset comes. He takes the Sefer Torah from the Bet HaKnesset and he's going to give it to the Rosh HaKnesset. Okay? So the Rosh HaKnesset gives it to the Zgan. Okay? The Zgan is Zgan Kohen Gadol, the deputy Kohen Gadol. The Zgan gives it to the Kohen Gadol, and then the Kohen Gadol Omed gets up, he receives the Sefer Torah, v'koreh bo acharei mot, and then he's going to read Parashat Acharei Mot, which is Avodat the Yom Kippurim, and ve'ach be'asor lechodesh Shvi, okay, v'golel et Sefer Torah, and then he comes and he rolls it and he puts it back, right? Ve'omed, he's going to say yoter mima shekarati lifnechem katuv, more than what's written over here. It's I actually, it's written over here. I read ube'asor Shvi. Then he's going to come and he's going to read the Mafti. The Mafti is in Pinchas ube'asor, right? Right? He says b'chumash pekudim. Koreh Balpeh, he's going to read it at Balpeh. He doesn't actually read it from the Torah. Right? Because imagine what, they're going to take the Sefer Torah, the same one Sefer Torah, they're going to roll it until Pekudim, until Parashat Pinchas. They're in the middle of Emor, which is in Vayikra. So in the middle of, right? Nowadays we take out two, but I'm saying they wouldn't take out two. But it was very interesting. So you had Chazan HaKnesset, which is a shamash, would give it to the Rosh HaKnesset. The Rosh HaKnesset is like the Parnas, like the Gabai. He would give it to the Zgan, and the Zgan would give it to the Kohen Gadol, and then the Kohen Gadol would read it. He would read the beginning of Acharei Mot, which was what we read last week, and then Ach Be'asor. Then he used to do Gilila, right? And then he used to close it. And then he used to tell them, listen, more than I didn't read the entire Torah. I just read to you a little portion of the Torah. And then the Maftiri used to do it Balpeh. Then what happens is that he's going to Mevarech Aleh Shmona Berachot. You're going to make 8 Berachot. Ala Torah, ve'al Avodah, ve'al Hodaya, ve'al Mechilat Avon, ve'al Mikdash, ve'al Yisrael, ve'al Kohanim, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Shar HaTfilah. Right, and another bracha. So basically, you hear a lot of them we already do. Because Ala Avodah is Ritzeh B'Mechai Yisrael Ritzeh Avodah B'Mechai. Right, then Ala Hodaya is Modim Enachlulach, Mechilat Avon Ata B'Chatanu, Ala Mikdash, Asher B'Char B'Mikdash, Al Yisrael is Abocher B'Mo Yisrael, right, Abocher B'Mo Yisrael, Baruch B'Char B'Zaro Shel Aaron, that's the Kohanim. Yerushalayim is Baruch Abocher B'Yerushalayim. And then the rest of the tefillah. So basically, they come and they make special brachot that he's saying. This is the Kohen Gadol again on the avodah of Yom HaKippurim. Okay? Says the Gemara, Shema Mina, we learn from here. Cholkim kavod letalmid bimkom harav. From the fact that the Chazan HaKnesset does not give the Sefer Torah straight to the Kohen Gadol, but rather he has to give it to the Rosh HaKnesset. And then it goes to the Sgan Kohen Gadol, and then the Kohen Gadol. You see from here that you have to give kavod to the Talmid instead of the Rav. Meaning it's permitted for a Talmid Katan to give kavod to the Talmid, to his rabbi, Kilu, even though he's a Talmid Gadol of his rabbi. You understand? That's what you're allowed to do, right? So he comes and he says, I'm Rabbi. Rabbi says, it's not true. You know why? It's not a proof. Kulam mishum kvodot Kohen Gadol. Everything is to show the Kohen Gadol. Meaning that Kilu, that you keep on going up, it's not a kavod. It's not that the smaller guy is giving kavod to the bigger guy, and then the bigger one to the bigger one, and then the bigger one. No. That's showing the kavod of the Kohen Gadol. That by you coming and going up, that's showing kavod to the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol omed umkabel v'koreh. So the Kohen Gadol stands up and then he reads. Omed, what Mikad Yosef? What he's sitting? The Amar morning. What? The only one you can't sit in the Azara. Elmaleh David, only the Malchut David. That means only the king. A king, and it has to be the king from David. And that's why we know that Yerovam ben Nevat went off the path, because he went against them. Yeah, you with me? Yerovam ben Nevat, why did he go off the path? Because only a king from David HaMelech is allowed to sit in the Azara. So imagine right now you have two kings. The king over Israel, which is 10 tribes, and the king over Malchut Bet Yehuda and Binyamin, and other 2 tribes. Imagine right now you have these 2 tribes, right? And that king is sitting down. And the other king, which is the king of the majority of Israel, he doesn't sit down. So it drove him crazy. The kavod is so strong, he went off the path. You understand? So he says, so the Gemara says, just like Rav Chassan says, B'azarat Nashim. B'azarat Nashim. Hachanami, we're talking about B'azarat Nashim. Right? We weren't talking about the actual Bet HaMikdash. It was only the B'azarat Nashim you're allowed to sit down. So that's where they sit down. Meitve, so they're going to ask the question, where do they read in the Mikdash and the Sefer Torah? B'azarat. One shita says it's in the Hazara. One of them says it's the Harabait. Shenemar, but it says the Pasuk, Vayikra bor lifnei harechovesh lifnei shar hamayim. So it's going to come out that it's going to be in the Hazarat Nashim. So therefore, since it's a Hazarat Nashim, that's why you're allowed to sit there, and that's why the Kohen Gadol was sitting until then, and then he used to actually stand up, right, in order to receive.